I'm joyful this morning, and I want to celebrate with you all that the Lord's done through this. And part of this has been kind of the preaching and the teaching through our Vital series. And we have this definition of vital that we shared that out of the dictionary, if you look up the word vital, you're going to see this. It says, of critical importance, necessary to the existence, continuance, or well-being of something, indispensable and essential. And we've been asking this question and investing into this definition. Is Path Church vital? Are we vital to our community? Are we vital to our local body and to one another? Are we vital to the community abroad outside these doors? Are we vital to the work of Jesus and his mission beyond our front door, beyond our state borders and state lines, beyond our country? Are we vital to the mission of Jesus? And you guys shout amen all you want to it. We've covered this really well, and you guys have really dug your claws into this one. We believe here at Path Church that we are vital, and we want to continue to be vital. I don't know about you, but I didn't move my family across states, although this is a lovely place, and I'd probably move here again, even if it weren't for the church. But hindsight's 2020, and I didn't know anything about this place before I moved here. But we didn't move here because it was a nice place to live and because you have a beautiful view of this mountain over there and you have great fishing and you have dudes that take people on motorcycle rides. Like, that's not why I moved here. I moved here because the Lord called me to the work in this place, in Path Church, in the community of Central Point. And we believe that Jesus has a mission for us that we're a part of, that Jesus has a mission for you that we're collectively engaged in and participating in. And we believe that through our partnership in the work of the gospel, that God is on the move through our community. That there are people, our mission, we've gone through this through the series, our mission of connecting people with the path of Jesus. That's not just something we say, but we believe that there are people on the other side of eternity waiting on us because of the ministry that's happened here over the years, over the lifespan of this church. And so we are vital. Turn to someone next to you, say, you are vital. Hey, today is a day I want to celebrate. It's going to be joyful for me. I hope it's joyful for you. I mean, you're going to not be able to contain your excitement as we go through this and talk through this. But some of you guys were with us. I believe there's over 32 of us involved that were part of the base camp week, meaning you showed up and you were helping, you were serving, you had tools in your hand, you were cooking meals. You guys were a part of the work that was happening around this place. We went Wednesday through Thursday a couple weeks ago, and so today we kind of want to celebrate that, want to bring some I guess just testimony to the rest of us if you didn't have the opportunity to be a part of that week, that this is something, although we have some select individuals that were here, some of you guys couldn't be here for one reason or another, and we want you to know you're still a part of this, that this testimony, this celebration is still a part of our body, of our community, and we want to bring you into that. And so some of these things that I talk about, if you were part of that week and you were here, and Ryan's sitting there with his hands folded. He's like, work sucks. He wanted to be here so bad, and he had to work every day. But his wife and kid were here, and Callie did most of the work around here. So he's just really sad he wasn't able to be here. But man, now I looked at you, and you just looked really sad. And then now I'm lost on my notes. So what I was going to say is, if you were here and you were with us, then some of the stuff that I talk about might be kind of a repeat, but it's really the testimony of a lot of things, from our morning devotionals to our evening services, gathering together, and to the projects we were involved in. And so we started the week the way that we start most summers around here at Path Church. We had a friendly outreach to our friends and neighbors down here at Jewett Elementary School, and we started out by serving some snow cones, and I think I got a photo of this up there. And some of you guys have seen this, but this is a recent photo from just a couple weeks ago. Last day of school, and we got out and we were serving some snow cones. This is crazy. Like, a lot of you don't know this, but our parking lot serves the families of the elementary school. There's not enough parking down at Jewett. And so, not that we necessarily threw the invite out there, it just so happens that there's parking here and people fill it up. And we're very welcoming to that, have granted permission to anyone who needs it. But if you show up around pickup hour during the school year, you'll see this parking lot is just full of vehicles, and it's of parents that are picking up kids from the school and bringing them back. And we started dreaming 4 years ago or so when I started here, how can we take advantage of this opportunity, this little window? It's not long, it's about 20 minutes, and the cars are here and then the cars are gone. How can we make an impact with that opportunity that these people are coming to us? How can we serve them in a meaningful way? And so we, sometimes more than once a year, but especially at Christmas break, we serve hot chocolate, and then we, at the last day of school, do snow cones, and we give them out for free. We'll serve about 125 snow cones in about 20 minutes. It's pretty wild how quickly they rush through, and sometimes we have bus drivers stopping in, and we got to keep our hands moving and keep the syrup flowing, and it's awesome. And one of these really cool things, we've been doing this consistently enough that this is how we started our week as we were serving during base camp. One of the dads was talking to Lindsay, my wife Lindsay. If you guys haven't met her, she's out serving snow cones with us. And one of the dads said, "Man, thank you guys for doing this." He said, "My son looks forward to this day every single year." And he said he can't wait for the last day of school because he knows Path Church is going to be out there serving up snow cones. He said, "Thank you." And I was like, man, that is just so cool to hear that what to us just seems like a really simple thing to do. It's kind of a no-brainer, is something that has become a part of the culture of this neighborhood that these kids and families look forward to. And we get to do it in the name of Jesus and in the love of Jesus. And so this was just a blast to kind of start off the week that way. But what I want to do with you this morning is to celebrate the completion of a work. Completion of our work collectively. And if you were with us throughout everything, some of you guys were like the teacher's pet, I'll say. Talking to Kevin and Tina, wherever you guys are, they're like the first ones here, last ones to go. Some of you guys were like the sun up to sundown. Some of you guys, you're like, hey, I can be here this hour, but this hour's got to be a conflict with me. But if you were there the evening, we had an evening service, and Pastor Jesse shared a word with us, and he shared out of the book of Nehemiah, and he talked about that passage about I'm doing a great work and I can't come down. If you're unfamiliar with the passage in Nehemiah, we're going to kind of circle back into that a little bit today. But he preached this really powerful word. And so for those of you that participated in that and got to hear that message from him, I'm going to kind of hinge off the back of it and work with it. And so Jesse was talking about the story of Nehemiah. Nehemiah is the cupbearer of the king as the nation is in exile. You guys will have to do your own history work on this if you're not familiar with the story. But there's an entire book in the Bible dedicated to this called the book of Nehemiah. And so Nehemiah was the cupbearer to the king. And there was an opportunity that they were going to be able to return to their home city from exile to Jerusalem and to rebuild the walls of the city. And Nehemiah had this burden. As he saw that the city had been taken by siege, the walls were crumbled down, everything was rubble, and he had a desire and a heartbreak for his city to see that the walls would be rebuilt. In ancient times, if you didn't have a wall, you didn't have a city. And I won't get political this morning, but that it's not really an ancient problem. It's kind of a new modern day problem too. You guys get my drift. So you got to have walls. And so he has this burden because the wall's been torn down. There is no city. The city's been destroyed, and he wants to see this is his home, to see it rebuilt. And so he gets special provisions from the king. Jesse did a great job preaching through this. Just kind of unbelievable, like a total work of God. All of his requests were like very demanding requests that, you wouldn't dare open your mouth and ask these things. Yeah, you wouldn't, of a king. He's the cupbearer. Like, he has no provisional authority to be demanding such requests. And he comes bravely, courageously before the king and says, my heart burdens, my heart breaks. And the king grants him everything required that would be his stamp of approval for him to be able to complete this task. And so Jesse did an amazing job preaching through that, and I might just have to have him come re-preach it to you guys that missed out on it. But where I want to pick up now is at the end of this little project, in Nehemiah chapter 6, there's a completion. Nehemiah had a dream. He had a vision. He had a goal and a vision to rebuild this wall. And sword in one hand, hammers in the other hand, and these guys were working night and day to rebuild this wall. And people were trying to distract him from this work, to pull him down from this work, to sabotage his work. And he would continue to say, I'm doing a great work and I can't come down. My hands are at pace doing something that the Lord has called me to do, and I will not deviate from it. This is the work that I'm to be about and I'm going to be about. And it says this in Nehemiah chapter 6, 15 through 16. So on October 2nd, the wall was finished. Someone say finished. Just 52 days after we had begun. When our enemies and the surrounding nations heard about it, they were frightened and humiliated. They realized that this work had been done with the help of our God. Man, and that's the testimony that we want to have be our testimony, to be seen. This work is a testimony to the goodness of our God. This work is a testimony to the work that he's called us to, not our own initiatives, not our own just so we can feel good about ourselves, but this is a directive from the Lord, a command from the Lord, and we're doing each step with purpose. And in the completion of this, he says to the surrounding nations and to their enemies, they realized that this had been done with the help of our God. I titled the message this morning, What to Do When There's Nothing to Do. What to do when there's nothing to do. For short, it's Wtdwtntd. Some of you guys like WWJD, which is, you guys know WWJD? Yeah, some of you guys grew up in the 90s. Okay, so what would Jesus do? We had like the little colored bracelets. Some of you guys still know how to make them. Some of you, is anyone wearing one this morning? Yeah, okay, I didn't think so. So you got like all the colored beads that like represent different things, like the gospel stories. Some of you guys didn't grow up in the 90s, and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So what would Jesus do? It was like a catchy catchphrase we said back in the day. And for short, it was, what would Jesus do? Today is Wtdwtntd. What to do when there's nothing to do. What do you do when you come to the completion of something? And I think this is true and applicable in so many aspects of life. You can convert this into your personal life and experiences that you're working through. You could look at this through the lens of business or operations. And we set out to do something and we accomplish something. And everything that your organization has been kind of like, I'm missing the word, but you've collaborated on, right? And you're working toward it. Now you completed it, and there's this celebration of like, okay, we did it, but like now what do you do? And I'd like to maybe, if you put it in the life application of a child, it's maybe really easy to think about this. What do you do when there's nothing to do, right? All the work is like preparing for the baby to come. You don't have a baby and then be like, okay, well, the work's done. Maybe you do. You guys seem pretty content with that. You're like, yeah. Maybe it's because I'm talking to a room full of retired people. You guys are like, yeah, my work's done. We finished that a long time ago. No, they're still on you. What to do when there's nothing to do? You don't get to the end of that and just be like, okay, cool, we did all of it. There's more to do. So what do we do? And that's what I want to answer and talk about today. There's been multiple campaigns, multiple initiatives, multiple visions over the years at Path Church. And we had the opportunity to, during our week together, we found this really cool box upstairs with a whole bunch of old photographs and spent some time looking through some of these old photos. And we had a couple historians with us. Terry Pierce and John Farrington were the ones that have been here long enough to know what we were looking at as we were looking through these pictures. And I think there's one I want to throw up here real quick. Let's see. Come in. Do I got a picture? Aha, there it is. So if you guys don't recognize this room, this is the original sanctuary of Path Church. It's about 100 feet behind you right now. And it's where our kids meet on Sunday mornings right now. But back when this photo was taken, the building that you are sitting in right now didn't exist. And this was the original sanctuary. And some of you guys have memories coming up. Tennille calls them core memories. There's this wall right here, and this is what I want to fixate on for a second. To the right, you'll see that brick wall. The really cool thing about what I'm about to tell you, at least it was cool for me, is if you go out there right now, these bricks are still there. This room, this sanctuary is still there today. And Terry was telling me a story about when the original sanctuary was built. Now, in this photo, it's well built and ministry's been happening, but when the original building was put together, similar to what we just did, a group of people came together and said, we want to plant a church here, and we're going to take this piece of land and we're going to build on it. We're going to build a place for ministry to happen. And they had this dream, and they raised the funds, and she told me this story about a gal in the congregation. Do you say older? Yeah, old lady. Old lady. Did you guys not want me to? That's what it's Terry's story, not mine. Okay, you guys can fight her. So there's an old lady in the church, and they're raising money for this building to be built. And as they're campaigning for the last amount of funds to finish this building out, to finish it to completion, this particular lady, she sold her washer machine to purchase the last amount of bricks that would finish the completion of this wall that you're looking at right there. I said, Terry, that's amazing. I said, I'm going to tell people to go sell their washer machines now. Amazing story of faith, of what Grady was saying a little bit ago. The Lord might speak something to you, and that you would have the bravery to listen to the directive of the Lord and to do it. And this lady is responsible for the last set of bricks that finish this building to completion. But what do you do when you finish? What do you do when you complete the work? Wtdwtntd. What to do when there's nothing to do. See, after the wall was completed in Nehemiah chapter 7, verse 1, it says this: after the wall was finished, and I had set up the doors in the gates, the gatekeepers, the singers, and the Levites were appointed. And what I want to do for the rest of the message is flip through the book of Nehemiah with you and follow kind of the progression of this work, right? He didn't build a wall and complete a wall and then be like, all right, let's go back to the king and let's just continue to go back to the things the way they were. No, they moved forward with the completion of the wall. And after the completion of the wall, there needed to be doors and there needed to be gates. Why? Because doors and gates, they keep things out that ought not to be out, and they're flung wide open for the entry of those that need to come in. They're the entryway. They're the front door. They're the welcome mat. And at these doors, they had gatekeepers and singers, and the Levites were appointed. And if you work through the book of Nehemiah, I'm just going to give them to you kind of in bullet point here. These are four things that I noticed out of the story that happened after the completion of the wall. After the completion of the wall, the town was occupied. Okay, great. So we've rebuilt this wall, which theoretically means we can now begin to rebuild a city. But what is a city without occupants? And so the exiles from all over the nation begin to return to the land and to the city of Jerusalem. They begin to come one by one back into their hometown, into their home city, and the town was filled and it was occupied. The next thing that happened, and these aren't necessarily in order, but the people were registered. Who's in and who's out, who belongs to the nation that is now being occupied. And so they took a census and they registered the people who were coming in. responsibilities and assignments were given. We just kind of talked about this. There was Levites and there was gatekeepers, and there's more assignments given throughout the story, but those were initial ones. People had a job to do. People had a purpose within the city. They had a work to fulfill and a work to be doing, given to them by gift, by assignment, by family. And the last one, I love this, and this is really the central focus of the story of Nehemiah and also the book of Ezra. It says that the people were unified in purpose by the word of the Lord. They recovered the scroll found by Ezra of the law that had been long lost, and the entire book of Ezra is the finding of this scroll. And so you got to remember, they've been disbanded, they've been scattered, and they didn't have like a digital copy on their smartphone back in whatever BC this was, right? They found, like us, this old box, this dusty box upstairs full of relics. And they're going, what is this stuff? What are these memories? What is this recorded history? And they found this book of the law, the words that God gave to Moses and the instructions to the people of Israel. And they began to read it. And it says that this scroll was opened and it was read cover to cover out loud to the people. And at the reading of this scroll, the people fell and they wept because they were convicted. Man, we are so far removed from the instructions of the Lord and the things that he's asked us to do and the purposes that he has for us. And then they confessed and they repented and they unified themselves and committed themselves as a body, as a people, to the word of the Lord. Nehemiah chapter 11, verse 1 through 3 says, as the people begin to occupy Jerusalem, it says that the leaders of the people were living in Jerusalem, the holy city, and a tenth of the people from the other towns of Judah and Benjamin were chosen by sacred lots to live there, while the rest stayed where they were. And the people commended everyone who volunteered to resettle in Jerusalem. Here is a list of the names. I love this. I don't have all the names. They're not going to be important or applicable to you this morning, but it's amazing, historically documented, this effort to rebuild this wall started with Nehemiah, and it says the people made a list of these names. Every person that volunteered in the resettling of Jerusalem were listed by name, and in the book of Nehemiah you can look and you can see all these names. And I told you guys this last week, we were going to explicitly do this, so don't act shocked or surprised by me. But I'd like to do the same for us this morning. We committed to this work. We outlined the work that was going to be done. We made a schedule. We said, here's the days. We asked people, hey, would you take work off? Would you commit yourself to being here? Would you sacrifice a little bit so that you could be a part of the things that we want to accomplish over this next week? And so I'm going to read a list of names this morning. And if you guys want to clap and cheer and hoot and holler, that's awesome. You can do it by name. Just make sure you do it equally by each person. We don't want like that awkward, like just the mom claps and like no one else's, you know what I'm saying? But we'll celebrate everyone together at the end. But I want you guys to see this, and I want you to be thankful and grateful for the work that's been done. And these are the people that made it happen. And so, and what I'm going to do, and this might be uncomfortable for some of you, but you're going to do it because I'm the boss. I'm going to have you come stand up here. And when I say up here, I mean up here on the stage. Yeah, with me. For a couple of reasons. One, some of you guys have never done this, and you need to get over your stage fright. Two, this stage that I'm standing on this morning was part of the projects that we completed. So you need to just take this in because this was something that we did, and you haven't yet fully appreciated it until you've stood up here. So I need you to come stand up here, okay? And three, I think there's about 32 names I'm about to read off, and we need to test the handiwork of John Farrington and make sure it can hold all of us. So I'm going to list names. As I name you, if you guys could come and stand with us this morning, we want to honor you and say thank you to you this morning. Tina Garvin and Kevin Garvin. Eddie Bolts, Tasha Bolts, Bryce Bolts, Bailey Bolts. Bailey, you're up there, but you could trade with somebody. Oh, she's in the kids. Well, we could steal her if we wanted to, if someone wants to. But imagine Bailey up here. Dale Miller. Some of these, yeah, come on. I may not have the last names on all of these. I did my best by memory, but Greg Jones, is Greg here today? Greg Jones, Jim Grace. This is, Tim won't be here this morning, but Kevin and Tina, this was one of the best guys to work with. Their neighbor, Tim, they told him about the work that was going on, and they invited their neighbor to come and help, and he showed up almost every day to serve and help and do projects, so we want to thank Tim. I don't think Josh is here this morning, which is good because I don't have his last name, and I just put Chick-fil-A. Josh from Chick-fil-A. Josh, John Farrington, Tim Robbins, Jesse McGaffey, Chrissy McGaffey, Terry Pierce. Come on, Terry. Chrissy Pierce. Chrissy's teaching today. Tennille Denda, Brock Denda, if you're here, Brock. Grady Nakano, Angie Parker, Callie Parker, not Ryan Parker, Marsha Dalrymple, Gary Smith, Bonnie Smith, Tommy Barnett, Anne-Marie Travis, Lindsay Galbreath, me, Brenda, readers, Brenda here, Brenda and Lila, Sam Howell, I don't know if he's here, Sam and Diana, they had an important role to play, and Bob Hare, you brought that lift in for me, buddy, couldn't have done it without you, get up, come on. And we're just going to take this all in this morning. Good to see you, buddy. You made it. You guys feeling this? This is a different experience for some of you guys, different vantage point. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. And you're standing on the old stage. We need to all walk here to make sure this holds up here. Okay. We're just testing it out. Yeah. Hey, I just want us to see and appreciate, man, the work that we're going to celebrate with some photos here in a second, but this is the crew that was here, young and old alike, that blood and sweat, actual blood, Tasha, and tears and sweat put into these projects, and we are thankful for you guys, thankful for each other, so let's give it up for them one more time. Awesome. And I know this is really uncomfortable for most of you, so you guys can go back to your seats. And thank you guys so much. Dale, thank you. There's one name I think I forgot to read here. He wouldn't have been here anyways, but Brenda Reeder has a grandson, I think Ezekiel, right? And Ezekiel was here, and I'll have to put a photo in of him later. Dale was telling me about this little boy, Ezekiel, and he was here with his grandma, and he went to work with a little shovel. He couldn't be, I want to say he was like 7 years old or something like that, 7 years old, and Dale said he worked for like an hour and a half with that shovel, just scooping bark, and he was right next to Dale's side the whole time. The greatest thing ever. And Dale, I think we told the story to me 3 times, and he's like, did I tell you the story? I'm like, you did, but I'll hear it again. He's got photos and video. This kid knew how to work, and just awesome, and we want to thank you guys. Some of you guys don't know what we're celebrating, the work that got done, so these are not all the photos, but a few photos. We'll go one by one here. Just want to kind of work through them. I might have brought our media person down, so hopefully someone's up there. So this is one of the projects here. If you guys, this is the original sanctuary that still exists today, that's back there. Our kids are there meeting right now, doing kids service, and someone built this beautiful pallet wall a while back, and I believe if you guys remember Ryan and Robert, they were a big part of this back in the day. And Tasha started prematurely kind of posting photos of some of the work that was going down, and there was an assumption made. They were like, oh no, our hard work is being ripped down. And we're like, no, we're not taking it down. We're putting it back up. We're finishing it. So this doorway is not a usable doorway. It's boarded in with metal, and we were like, let's just finish that off, make it look like one cohesive thing and clean it up. So that was one of our projects. Go to the next photo here. This is really cool. These are historical photos. So this was the original build of this building and the original stage that went in before it had that ugly green carpet. Just all that beautiful wood and the steps you guys remember from a few weeks ago. And here it is. And I think if I'm not mistaken, John's hands were involved in the original project and also this project. So you kind of worked against yourself a little bit. But that's original. Let's go to the next photo here. Here's the guys just going to town, working on it. This was like day 1 and 2. They took all these steps out and just kind of stripped the whole thing to make room for this addition that went in. I don't think I put an after photo of this because we're standing on it and you're looking at it this morning. But great work. John was, you guys saw the testament of his handiwork. It held 32 people up here this morning. So great work, super awesome. And so let's see what's up next. Tasha, I think, missed most of the first day with us. This is somewhat the original men's bathroom on the left. I know, ladies, you haven't seen that before, but this is what we were working with. And in this photo, this is actually kind of a premature photo. There was a stall in there with multiple divider. It was the most uncomfortable, unusable thing in the world. If you were washing your hands and someone opened the door, you got hit by the door. And if there was more than 2 people, you were like shoulder rubbing to get around each other. Just not very workable and disgusting. Like, you don't see all the urine stains in the photo, but it was just not cleanly at all, no matter how hard we cleaned it. And so that's what we were working with. We had to remove all the tile, and we gutted all the walls down. Tasha, she said, hey, can I stay late? I have a key and an alarm code. Can I just stay up all night doing tile? And Tina and Kevin came in the next morning. She had all the tile ripped up. Next photo here. This is where we're at right now. So you guys can see the original on the left. This is currently what the bathroom looks like if you were to go peek at it today. So new tile going up on the wall. The floors look amazing underneath, but they're being protected right now. New paint, new texture, new lights being put in. And it's still a work in progress. And thank you to everyone that's been continued in that progress. Kevin and Tina, and I know Jesse and Eddie, and some of you guys have been showing up during the week, helping them out. And so can we give a special appreciation to Kevin and Tina heading that up? And let's see what else we got going on. Next photo here. Man, Jim Grace did an amazing job on this water fountain here. So I didn't take, of my photos, I didn't take a before and after photo, but if you can see, there's a small porcelain drinking fountain. This is of an older remodel in the building. Still, original building here. So that porcelain drinking fountain is like the original drinking fountain that's been here. And so it was time for an update to the 21st century here. And Jim, thanks for making that happen. It looks great. Real quick, if you guys happen to walk by that and you don't understand how the space machine works, that little button on the right, and there's these cool like hieroglyphics to show you a hand and a water bottle. So you push the button and then the water comes out. That's how that functions. So let's go to the next photo here. So lots of hands making this happen. Our preschool room didn't look much like a preschool room. It was just kind of a room with brown paint, and there was a lot of just kind of holes and like patch spots over the years that hadn't been touched up. And we had an amazing crew of people. I got a shout out to my wife for doing some fancy artwork, but all the hands that made this possible. So our preschool room has been completely repainted and freshened up and kid friendly now, and it's been so awesome. So that was that project. Let's see the next photo here. Tasha, man, this was another extended project. We took on a little bit more than we thought, but if you guys have been parking over the last few weeks, on the left, you can kind of see how faded everything was. You could barely see the lines in a lot of spots. And so Eddie and Tasha and Tim, a ton of hands, Bryce, we were busy on that parking lot, and it's been completely restriped all on the front end here now. So thank you guys for all your hard work there. Let's see what's going on in the next picture. We put in some new lights. If you guys look above your head, there are some new lights that went in. These were the old lights that are here off to the right and the left. And, this is like technical stuff for some of you guys, but These just weren't the right type of fixtures that are needed for a stage. So because of our wall that we had here, those lights in particular, they flood out, and they were casting shadows and making it harder to see the screen because they were washing it out. And so these are the proper applications back here, and they have crops and adjustments to bring the light where you need to bring it, and then these ones flood and wash across. And so that was a project going in tandem with the stage. And you can see there's a good photo of the stage in progress there before it got painted black. The guys had all the carpet on, and the kids were already making performances on it. It was pretty awesome. So that's that photo there. Let's see what else we got. Oh my goodness, guys, I cannot celebrate Greg enough. Greg's body is not like mine. Yeah, come on. I don't think he burns at all. If I had his tan, my life would be a lot more comfortable right now. But he trimmed every tree on the property, did a phenomenal job, and just would not. I mean, Terry was like, this guy needs to eat lunch. And we're like, Terry, there's no stopping him. Don't touch the man when he's at work. And so, I mean, he just got it done, and we're super thankful for all your hard work, Greg. Let's see the next one here. Okay, so this is our mom room. Some of you guys have been in here. Some of you guys will not be in there anymore. So this room it's out here. There's these French doors here, and this is a space that we've dedicated to nursing moms. So if you're a mom but your child is 32 years old, you don't belong in this room. This is for moms that are nursing babies. There's a video feed of the service that goes back there, and again, it was just kind of a not well thought out space before. There was just kind of random paint on the walls, and it was starting to get beat up a lot, not well taken care of, and just needed to be freshened up. So this is the ladies starting to paint the wall in there. Lindsay did some artwork here, you can see, and then I think we got another photo here of what it looks like now. And so, so if you are a mom with a baby, or you invite someone to church with a mom and a baby, they need a private space to be there, to say, hey, you're welcome here. This is their space. And so if you're not a mom with a baby, don't go in there, okay? And so that's that. Let's go to the next one here. Unless that's all of them. Do we have one more? No more? Nope. Okay. That's all of them. Give it up for our person upstairs. Who's up there today? Oh, Dalton. Good job, buddy. Nehemiah chapter 8 says that all the people assembled with a unified purpose at the square just inside the water gate, and they asked Ezra the scribe to bring out the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord had given to Israel to obey. This is like the culmination of the book of Nehemiah, and as I mentioned as well, there's also a record of this in the book of Ezra. And of all my all-time favorite places in Scripture, this is one of them. In Nehemiah chapter 8 and also the book of Ezra, as they rediscover the scroll and the law of Moses, and the people unified in body and purpose, they read it together. And what we've been talking about through this series, Vital, is we've been recentering ourselves on our mission and our values and our purpose as a church. This was like their moment as they did that as a nation. They came together, united under the Lord, and they read this book of instructions, and then they full-heartedly committed themselves to it. And I just love what it says. It's kind of parallel with the day of Pentecost and the breakout of the early church. And it says that all the believers were in one place gathered, and they were united. And in the same way, it says that all the people assembled with a unified purpose at this gate, the work of their hands that had been rebuilt in this wall. And so what to do when there's nothing to do? I want to read one more scripture this morning. In the book of Joel, verse 2, 28 through 29, Joel's one of the prophets also speaking to Israel in exile. And this is later quoted, and you might be familiar with these words in the book of Acts chapter 2, as Peter in his message on the day of Pentecost shares these words and quotes from the book of Joel. But it's the Lord's promise of his Spirit. It says, then after doing all of those things, there's prior to this passage here, a list of all these things that the Lord's going to do. He says, then after doing all of those things, I will pour out my Spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men, see, it says old people in the Bible too, it's not just me. Your old men will dream dreams, and your young men will see visions. In those days I will pour out my Spirit, even on servants, men and women alike. And I had this passage on my mind as I was prepping this, and I wanted to look into it a little bit. And you've probably heard this before, right? Your old men will dream dreams, and your young men will have visions. And I thought, what's the significance of the old and the young, and the differential between the dreams and the visions? And this passage actually continues on. This is just a snippet of the passage. But as you'll see, it moves on to servants and to men and to women alike. And the synopsis of this is not specific to the gift of dreams or specific to the gift of visions. It's not trying to categorize those things by age. The phrase, young men shall see visions and old men shall see dreams, signifies a time when God's Spirit would be poured out on all people, leading them to diverse forms of spiritual revelation and inspiration across all age groups. It emphasized that spiritual gifts, including prophecy and visions and dreams, were not limited by age or gender. The promise that old men will dream dreams, I love this part, is not just about sleeping visions. It's about God continuing to work through his people regardless of age. And I would say regardless of time as well. That God, through the work of his Spirit, we started with worship this morning and ministered in that way. As Grady emphasized, the holy and personal nature of the person of the Spirit within each of us. The fulfillment of this promise, of this prophecy from Joel. That the Spirit would come in to do work through his people, through his body. Young and old, men and women, slave and free, Jew and Gentile. God would continue his work through his people. What do we do when there's nothing to do? We dream again. We continue the work that God is doing. As I've shared some photos, we kind of took a little trip down history lane a little bit this morning. Man, I'm so thankful that I'm the recipient of a work that's been continued over the years at Path Church. Man, I hope we're passing something on. We're continuing something into this present age and into the future that is going to be a continued work of what the Lord is doing through the body and through the work of Path Church. I'm grateful and I'm thankful for people that have continued, that we have stories and testimonies of people and families sitting here today that through generations have reaped the harvest of the investment of the sowed ministry of this church over the ages. What do we do when there's nothing to do? Okay, great, we finished all these projects, so where do we shift our attention to now? Well, in the book of Nehemiah, he put people to work. He filled the city. He said, look, it's time that we take these fortified walls and now we occupy this space. Now it's time that we're done with the work of our hands and the building and the construction of materials, and now it's time that we serve one another. And so some of you are going to be Levites, and some of you are going to be dedicated singers, and some of you are going to be gatekeepers, and you're going to have a job, and you're going to have a purpose within this city. Within this church, we all ought to have a job. We all ought to have an assignment. We all ought to show up to this place as ministers of the gospel and ministers to one another. We're not showing up to occupy a space, but we're coming here to build a church, to build a mission, to build a community, a God who's on the move through us, through the work of his Spirit. What do we do when there's nothing to do? We dream again. How many of you guys have vivid dreams? I've had a few of them over the years. I really want to tell you one, but it's not applicable, and just if you want to hear my crazy dream story, I'll tell you later. But some of us have reoccurring dreams, like the same dream that's followed you throughout your lifetime, and it comes back. And okay, real quick. I have one short story, not the fully explained version. Okay, I couldn't help it. I have this reoccurring dream where I'm like back in high school, and I'm like, it's like one of those time stretches dreams. I'm like in this dream for 6 months, and I'm back in high school. And then at the end of the dream, I realize I'm not supposed to be in high school. Like I graduated forever ago. Why am I here? And then I wake up like thinking that I wasted like 3 or 4 years of my life. And then I wake up just with more white hairs in my beard than I already have. And it's like I wasted all of that. It's like the worst nightmare in the world. I hate that dream, but it comes to me all the time. But chances are, if you've had a dream in your lifetime, that you haven't had one dream. You've had a plethora of dreams. You've had multiple of dreams. And if your dream has been fulfilled, it's time that you dream again. It's time that God give us fresh vision, fresh revelation. We've experienced the fruit and the harvest and the work of what we've done through these projects, but there's more to be done. And I want to shift our focus away from projects and into the work of ministry, that God is continuing to do his work through his people. I have, and these are just a few of mine. It's not an exhaustive list by any means, and I hope you have a few of your own, but I have dreams and visions of filling this church to its usable capacity. I don't think we built a bigger building so that we could have less people. And I don't say that because it's about numbers. I say that because the work of ministry is about the people that we minister to. And I think there was a dream and a vision for the room that you're sitting in right now to be built. Some of you guys were a part of that dream and that vision over the years because we had a capacity problem that we couldn't fit in all the people that the Lord was bringing to us in that season. And so more space, more preparations had to be to prepare a spot for the people that we would minister to. And I believe that God is still calling us to that, to fill this church to its usable capacity. One of my favorite photos, I'll share it in a moment here, that I found in there, it was a picture of a room full of kids singing to Jesus. And I said, man, I want that to happen again. I want that dream to be fulfilled, to see a room like this filled to capacity of children singing to Jesus. Check out that slide projection. Come on. They even had the words in the right orientation. They're not flipped backwards or upside down. Someone was on their A game. I will love you, Lord God, with all of my heart, with all my soul, with all my mind. I will love you, Lord. And these hands are raised. This room is full with kids. Man, I got, this is a really sexy dream for me. Don't take that weird. Sorry, I apologize, guys. My mouth ran and crickets. You guys are not giving me anything. This is a very excitable dream for me. A building fully paid for and debt-free. Come on. You get where I'm coming from. That's an attractive dream. Man, I love that this building was built. I love that someone put their hands to work to build it, but I would love to see this thing paid for. And we're very close to it, but I dream of the day when our resources don't have to go to paying debts, but can go to the work and the fruitfulness of ministry. Man, and I got a dream. This is a continued dream of people coming to Jesus. This is where we started. This is why we exist, to connect people with the path of Jesus. And if we're not doing that through the work of this place, man, we have failed in the work that we've set out to do. Part of my memories from this week of serving together, I'll save the names just because I didn't quite ask permission to share this story, but I was talking to an individual, older individual, who was serving with us. And was sharing testimony of coming to faith in Jesus. And I would have assumed that this man and this couple, married couple, had come to know Jesus 30, 40 years ago and been serving him for their lifetime. And it was brought out in the story of just the way that the Lord was working in and through them. And forgive me if I'm wrong in my estimation, if you know who I'm talking about here. But I would guess they're early 80s, late 70s. And they said, no, it was just about 10 years ago that the Lord got a hold of our hearts and we came to know Jesus. and began to just kind of tell that story. And I was blown away. I was like, man, I need that perspective in me, because I talked to a room full of people, and I don't know about you, but sometimes you see white hair and you see them in church, and then the assumption is, man, this is a generational thing. They've known Jesus forever, and they've faithfully loved and served. But man, it was a good reminder for this young pastor to go, no, there's people that still need to come to know Jesus, and it doesn't matter what age you are or where you come from in life. There's people that haven't yet come to the saving grace of Jesus Christ. And just a powerful testimony of what the Lord has been doing in this couple. And like I said, in my own estimation and knowing these people, you would not assume that because of the work that God has done in their lives. It was so incredible. There's a couple of photos I want to end with this morning. We'll just take them one at a time. They kind of center around one family in particular. So if you want to go to that first one there. Is that the first one I put in? There we go. Here's Mom. This is Jackie Farrington. I didn't ask if I could share this photo, but this is the old amphitheater out back. Some of you guys remember that. And Jackie, they had a work week back then, and she was helping put sod down. And we were joking as she came for game night. We were talking, and I said, I need you to do that again. I said, the grass looks pretty bad out there. We might need to have you come back and unload a pallet of grass for us. But this is Jackie Farrington. I'm guessing probably the 90s, right, is what we're looking at. Back in the 90s. So there's Jackie. Let's see this next one. Some of you guys will recognize that guy with the guitar on the right-hand side there. That's John Farrington, who was up here playing drums this morning, still faithfully loving and serving this church through music. He has a little bit of hair. Yeah, not a lot, but he has some. And that's John. and I'm sure if we dug hard enough, there's probably photos of Mom and Pa in there too, but I didn't know enough to recognize them in the photos. So here's these guys. The next one here, I love this one. Lindsay and I were digging through the box, and Lindsay goes, I think that's Tennille. Back in the day, the children's ministry. This is really, really cool. So Tennille, you've been a part of the church, I think, like almost 2 years now. And in my memory, I have these memories of John being here, or at least stories that have been told, but in that recollection, I'm not thinking of Tennille as a child being here. And Tennille, one of the most powerful things through this week was sitting down with Tennille at the table as she was going through these photos, because she has history and she has memories of her childhood here and what the Lord's done, and great memories of stuff in her face full of whatever that is. But let's go to the next photo, I think. There it is. These clowns up in the front. I say that literally. They're actually clowns. Purple, rainbow hair, and everything. And Tennille said, I have core memories of those clowns in my head. Sprinkles the clown. Ministering. Thank God we don't minister to children with clowns today, but it worked in the 90s. And so, again, back to this photo. I don't know what it does for you, but this photo moves me to see a room full of children with their hands lifted to Jesus being ministered to. And some of you guys know this and some of you don't, but Tennille, the one we just photographed there a second ago, she is a part, beyond her own will, just the Lord's calling of servanthood, serving our kids today. And my kids growing up in this children's ministry are being taught and served each week by leaders like Tennille, who are investing once again into kids here through the ministry of Path Church. And it's a picture of faithfulness and of continuance of the faithfulness of the Lord through the ministry of Path Church over the years. And I want to encourage us to dream again. What do we do when there's nothing left to do, when we've completed the thing that we set out to accomplish? And Path Church, hear it from me. I want to say thank you. The bodies that were up here with me just a second ago, the hands that made everything that we accomplished possible, the gifts of generosity that, within a week or two, we're going to be fully funded, paid in cash for these projects that we've invested in. And it's because of you, because of your faithfulness to the mission that Jesus has called this church to.